welcome everybody to the Cruise in Review podcast. I'm Blake.
And I'm Audrey.
It is so good to have you with us today on the show. We have some great content coming to you all the way from Mexico. But before we do that, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. An episode comes out every week, drops on Thursdays at midnight. You can also get audio streaming options. You can listen to our podcast on the go. It's an audio streaming option. Go to CruiseNReview.com/podcast. And also be sure to follow us on all social medias at Cruise in Review. That's Cruise, the letter N, review.com. Today on the show, we are getting into our most recent cruise, which was about a month ago. 7-night Western Caribbean cruise on board Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas out of Galveston.
Yes, and it was so much fun. It was kind of a whirlwind trip. We don't live far from Galveston, but man, it made it nice. We could drive to the port. We went to some awesome places, and I know we're starting with our first port of call today in Mexico.
Yes. So the cruise, again, 7-night Western Caribbean cruise to and from Galveston. First stop was Roatan, Honduras. Second stop was Costa Maya, Mexico. And the third stop was Cozumel, Mexico. Didn't get a ton of content from Honduras. We can kind of hit that a little bit later. So we're actually going to start with Costa Maya today. If you've cruised to the Western Caribbean, it's becoming a more and more popular port. It is located south of where you would normally think of Cozumel. In fact, you can see that on the map. It's actually, Cozumel is an island. Then you go a little further south. It's north of Belize, kind of in the southern area of Mexico. And really, this place was established just to be a cruise port. It's not a resort destination. It's a place we'd gone to several times, and it actually had not been our favorite. And we've kind of had this policy that don't quit on a destination. Keep trying it, and Costa Maya proved to follow that same rhetoric as some other ports we had had.
Yeah, we talked about that when we were going over St. Kitts, how, the first time we went to St. Kitts, it wasn't our most favorite, but we gave it a second chance. Same thing with Costa Maya. And it's honestly been really neat watching them develop Costa Maya as they have from the first time we went there to this most recent time we went there. The port has changed. We found, we're going to talk about all the activities that we've kind of done and figured out and found our way through. And it ended up being one of a more favorite port now. It was a lot of fun. We had a big day there.
The first time I ever went to Costa Maya, it was actually, we talked a couple episodes ago about trying to reason with hurricane season.
Yeah.
That hurricane interrupted cruise. We actually ended up going to Costa Maya as a alternate port of call. I'd never been there, and it really was not developed at all. It was a newer port, and at the time, and if you are an older cruiser, you may remember this, there were holes in the dock. Water was coming up through. They had just cones set out. And when we left, there was no power. You could just see the headlights of the cars driving off as we left. It was really undeveloped. We did a Jeep tour, just didn't care for it. Just didn't seem to have a lot of options. The beaches had a lot of trash on them. And so it became a place I didn't care for. But they put in a lot of work on that. But I don't like these ports that they're just cruise centered around tourists. I want something authentic to do.
Oh, yes.
And so when we knew we were going to Costa Maya on this cruise, we kind of set out to find something different to do. And that's when we looked at the map and we realized that just south of the port of Costa Maya, the name Costa Maya is actually the name of the port area. It's not the name of the town. I said, these workers have to be coming from somewhere. There's got to be.
Yeah,
you
they don't live at the port.
At the port, you can't see any development other than the port. It's just trees.
Yeah.
And they actually, we'll pull up, here's some video of it. You can actually just see just trees. There's nothing. And I said, but these people that work at this port have to be coming from somewhere. Just south of the port, which is Costa Maya, is a little town, emphasis on little, called Mahahual. It's Mahahual.
Mahahual.
That is the town. That's the town in which a lot of the port workers and everybody live in. You're actually, when you're in the port area, you're in Mahahual. And so then we started to look into some things that we wanted to do there. We started looking at, we take references from other blogs. One of them was the Royal Caribbean blog. I'll give them credit for that. Had actually done this a couple of weeks earlier, and they gave us some details. So we found that some of the ship tours did go there, just not for an extensive amount of time, which we've kind of found that to be the case on ship tours anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that I feel like you and I we try to go out on our own because we always want to be wherever we're going longer. You know, the ship tours maybe half a day, but then you're actually in the port for 8 to 9 hours. Well, we want to be gone for a maximum amount of time that we can. So the cool thing about finding this place was that we were able to enjoy it for as long as we wanted to enjoy it. We weren't really on a time schedule, and it was completely safe. We had a great time, and I know we're going to talk about how we got there and where we stayed, and anyway, so it was a fun time.
Yeah, so we wanted to go on our own. We knew that immediately. We wanted a lot of time. We wanted to maximize our time. And again, if you want to maximize your time at the places that you're going, if you're familiar with the area, or even if you're not familiar, do a lot of research. Ship tours are not going to be your best option. Ship tours are there for safety, comfort. They are there for ease and convenience, but you're going to pay more. You're probably going to have a little bit less time, and you're going to be restricted on the activities you can do because you're part of a larger tour. So we have found we prefer to go out on our own if we feel safe and comfortable doing so. And after our research and some recommendations from some other blogs, we decided we were going to go to Mahahual on our own. So when you get to the port area, it's kind of hard. You kind of have to navigate through this port area and eventually find your way outside where there will be taxis. That's the case at almost any port of call you go to. There's going to be taxis outside. A taxi, surprisingly, was $4 per person.
Yeah, which honestly, that really surprised me when they said, "Oh, $4 a person." You're thinking, what? But they were they were real helpful. They were really nice. The taxis were really clean, I felt like, when we got into them. And the port area is super nice. You know, like I said, you do kind of have to navigate to get to that area. But I felt like all the port, you know, the vendors, when we were talking about taxis, they had signs posted. It made it really easy to go find. And then we took off towards Mahahual.
Yeah, so with a tip, I gave him a $20 bill. Guy was happy as a lark, and he takes us to Mahahual. So easy ride. It's probably 10 minutes. Probably about a 10-minute ride. Maybe like
a straight and a right.
5 to 10 minutes. There really is no traffic.
No.
And so that's how you get there. We also noticed some people were riding there on golf carts.
Yeah. Now, you know, I could see if you knew where you were going, the golf cart ride could definitely be helpful. But for it was our first time to go to Mahahual, so it probably would have been a little hard to navigate exactly where to go. But once we took the taxi ride down, then we realized it really wasn't that far away, and the golf cart ride could have been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
and again, there was really no traffic.
No, and that everybody that we passed doing that seemed like they were all having a good time. You know, and something about going out on your own is also you really get to experience the culture. You know, you get to talk to the people. I know Blake's been trying to brush up on his Spanish, so he got to do a little bit of that with the taxi drivers. And I know you get to eat the food. I mean, that's another thing I really like about going out on our own is really experiencing the culture.
Right. The other way, if you wanted to get there, would be ship tour. You know, you can go there via ship tour, but again, time limited, a little bit more pricey. We paid $20 a person, got over there. You know, your ship tours. You know, and it may include other things, but if you want to go to Mahahual, my recommendation is to go out on your own, take this taxi ride.
Yeah.
So once you get there, what do? Well, first of all, we kind of got dropped off in like the center part of town, and it's not a very big town, so it's not that big of a deal. And we kind of were like, okay, now what? There was like nobody around.
Yeah.
And there was just some people sitting on some steps and like a rooster running in the road, and I was like, okay, okay. So we ended up walking towards, you could see the ocean down at the end of the pier, so we just walked that way. And about 1 block in, you have kind of a beach road.
Yes.
And I've got a little walkabout video you can see here. And you just walk down this road, and there's vendors. There is all kinds of stuff going on there. But we knew immediately we kind of wanted to go to a beach club. We had read that, you know, there's all these beach clubs. You pay a set fee. You get kind of a reserved spot, and they have access to the beach. Well, they're everywhere.
Yes.
They were all over the place. And we kind of spotted when we wanted to see the area. So we walked up and down the kind of the beach road there. A lot of vendors out, a lot of places to shop, and a ton of these little beach kind of all-inclusive semi-resort places along the beach. Now, they're not hotels. They're not. It's like a sign and some guys standing out there with a bunch of chairs spread out.
Yeah.
We walked it. We had spotted a place on the way and kind of made friends with one of the guys standing out in the road that had offered us a deal at a place called the Crazy Lobster. And so we decided to go there.
Yeah.
They were very nice when we talked to them. Very friendly. We kind of liked the deal they had offered. It was $40 for a table and chairs in the sand. And we decided to take him up on that offer. So they just put that in with our tab. We didn't have to hand him any money right then. He gets us a table right on the water at the Crazy Lobster for $40, and we get it immediately. He introduces us to a waiter. They offer us a variety of beer options. And that proved to be a really positive experience from start to finish.
Yeah, and I will say, being in sales is my background here. I loved all their little sales pitches that they did as you walked up and down the street. But that guy, I mean, he kind of sold us on his deal. To me, they had the best deal of the day, you could say. There was some that would say, "Hey, get your Mexican Happy Meal over here," which means it included food and drinks. They did have, where we went, had tables and chairs. They did have some places that were more of lounge chairs. So kind of depending on your beach experience, I know Blake and I always talk about, we are not necessarily beach sitters. We like to be out in the water. So we kind of was more attracted to the table and chairs versus the lounger. But take a look. I mean, I'm sure all the places are great, all along the beachfront that we talked about. But you're just kind of looking for what experience are you wanting to get, that day. And we were looking for food, drinks, a nice beachfront. I mean, to hang out and have a good time.
So we chose it, again, as Audrey said, based off of it looked to have a large, clean, seaweed-free beach.
Yeah.
And they had everything at the Crazy Lobster. You can actually go to their website. I'll put it up on the screen here. But you can actually go to their website, and they have loungers available. They have tables available. They had beach floats available for rental. But again, we kind of liked the person they're greeting us. But you could take your pick. There were a million of them right there. But we kind of just looked and saw this looks like it has a large beach.
Yeah.
It has a clean beach. And we kind of liked the setup and the person that we met. But you could really pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick down there. It felt very safe.
There were restrooms you could use. They had Wi-Fi. There was also a foot washing station, I guess you could say, and to get the sand off when it was time to leave. So it was a really great experience. We had a great time. The staff was great. And like Blake said, it was a nice beach area.
It had a great mix of authenticity. That's what I would say about Mahahual. It had a great mix of authenticity, but also some comfort as well. I felt safe the entire time. I liked the people. There were a lot of vendors there. They asked you for things or asked if you wanted things, but they were not aggressive. And then when we got to the Crazy Lobster, I mean, again, it was just like being at a restaurant or bar, but with terrific service.
Yeah.
These guys brought us whatever we wanted. You could get a bucket of beer for $1 a beer. Depending on the type of beer you liked, it would be like between $1 and $3 a beer. They would bring you a bucket. They had a full menu, offerings, everything we asked for. Couple of minutes and they had it right there.
Yes.
And so that's how we picked the Crazy Lobster. It was really based off of the look of the beach and the deal that they were offering. But don't be afraid to go in and pick something different.
Yeah.
I would recommend most of those areas. But if you're looking for a big open beach with good service, totally recommend the Crazy Lobster. The food ended up being terrific. We got nachos, we got tacos,
quesadilla.
We got a quesadilla.
It was so good.
The food was excellent there.
Yeah. Now, and I also want to, when we're talking about the food, you talk about the authentic experience. There were these guys. I thought this was so neat. There were these guys riding up and down the road of the little strip we're talking about on bicycles. That was like serving tacos. It was like a taco bicycle cart, and I thought that was so neat. I'm like, man, that is authentic Mexico right there. You can get tacos off of a guy driving a bicycle cart basically down the street. So Mahahual is such a cool little place.
And the food was excellent. It was just authentic Mexican food. It was prepared fresh.
Yes.
And again, that's when I say it had a great mix of authenticity, but also some comfort. It was well prepared with quality ingredients, but you could tell it was authentic. It had spice to it. You always hear about, people don't realize that Mexican food, it typically is very spicy. This spicy food.
Yeah.
They had good chips and salsa. And again, the beer deals with $1 per beer was just hard to beat if you're drinking local beers. One of my favorite things about the Crazy Lobster and our day at Mahahual was the beach was very, very clean. They actually had built their own breakwater and netting to keep the seaweed and the sea life out and to also keep the water calm. They had built these. It was made out of tarps. They had sticks in the ground. It was homemade. It looked kind of rinky-dink, I'm going to be honest, but it worked.
Yeah.
The water was very calm. You could stand out in the water without being beaten to death by the waves. And they had netting up for sea life.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in those areas, that choppy water, because Costa Maya sits kind of out in the open, exposed to the Caribbean Sea there, you get a lot of choppy water, which brings in jellyfish, all kinds of stuff. This had a breakwater in place to protect you from all that. and it was, soft sand. You could tell they had kind of dredged it out because those areas are a lot of times very rocky. This was not rocky at all. Easy in, easy out. Our table sat almost where your feet were in the water. Just the perfect setup for a relaxed beach day. And I just don't know how we could have picked a more relaxed, authentic beach day.
No, I definitely, I don't either. And like I said, it kept the sea life out, and nobody wants to be stung by a jellyfish. No. So it made for a great day. I rented one of the floats to hang out in, so that was fun. And the water was so calm, and it, for those that like to hang out in the water like we do, it was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's say you're not a beach person, though. Why should you go to Mahahual if you're not a beach person? In fact, I would recommend if you're not a beach person and you don't want to do any sort of activity, and if you're a shopper, go to Mahahual. It's a great place for shopping. I mean, it is a mile of basically like a straw market, as you would describe, of vendors selling locally made items. They had all kinds of stuff there. And you could, you could kind of name your price. You could barter with these people. But it's very much, if you like the straw market feel, if you like the local shopping at these places, go to Mahahual. Take that $4 taxi ride, because really it was some of the best local shopping I saw at any port that we've been to so far. Yeah, you could eat at some of the local places without going out on the beach, and then you could definitely do the shopping. And they had anything from those big straw hats to keep the sun off of you, to handcrafted wood artwork, to bracelets, to it was anything you can imagine. And I know a lot of our viewers love those handcrafted items to take home, to say, man, somebody in Mexico, somebody in Mahahual handmade that. They make great gifts. And so, like Blake said, if you're not a beach goer but you do love the shopping, you can shop in the port, but this is just so much more authentic than doing that shopping in the port, in my opinion. Oh, 100%. $8 per person round trip. That's there and back. Pay that and go do that shopping there. And again, safe. Never at any time. And the vendors will ask as you're walking down the street. They're going to ask for things. They're going to say, hey, come into my shop. Hey, come to my beach resort. And you're going to get asked that constantly. Don't be surprised. But the thing I think people need to understand about that, I think that intimidates people. Just say no thank you. Yeah, they're actually you may really say it 200 times. You may say no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. They leave you alone. I've been in places where you say no thank you and they don't leave you alone. They're not that way in Mahahual. No. We said no thank you, we'll be back later, and they left us alone. But just tell them no thank you. Yeah. They're trying to feed their families. They're trying to make a living. They're not, and they were not, as long as they're not pushy and mean, I respect them trying to make a living and feeding their families. They don't have the same luxuries you and I do. Yeah. Okay? Their source of income is you trying to get you to buy something. And the thing that separates them from the person right next to them is asking for business. Yep. So I don't want you to think because people are asking you for things that it means it's bad or it's unsafe. They were never pushy. Not one person was pushy or rude to us. I've been to Jamaica where they are pushy and rude. You say no thank you, they just keep going. They were not that way there. They will ask, and they will ask over and over and over again. Just tell them no thank you. And when you get out to your beach resort at the Crazy Lobster, nobody asks you for anything at that point. No. You're just kind of left alone. But as you do your shopping, and don't be afraid to talk to them. Ask them what they have. See if there's a price that you like. If you don't want it, say, no thank you, that price is not good for me. And they may offer you a better deal, they may not, and then walk away. It's okay. And don't be intimidated by that, because they are just trying to make money to feed their family. But you are under no obligation to spend money, and they understand that. Yeah, absolutely. And just go, that's experiencing the culture, in my opinion. Like Blake said, these people don't have jobs like you and I do, where we work at banks or we work at, clothing, actual retail clothing stores. They're out just trying to feed their families. And so go experience the culture, eat the food, talk to the vendors. If you want to speak a little Spanish, absolutely give that a try as well. It's just a good time. It's such a cool place to go experience their culture, because it's not something you get to do when you're at home. No, absolutely not. And again, don't be intimidated by that. They're not looking for charity. No. They're not. They're not begging. They just want you to take a look at what they have to sell. And if you don't want to take a look, tell them no thank you. We're doing something else. It is a different culture. It's not scary, or it doesn't mean it's unsafe. You can also get massages there. Between $30 and $50 is going to get you 30 minutes to an hour long massage. Very good deal on that. And it's right on the sand, right on the beach. And again, do business with those people. They're going to ask if you want a massage. If you want one, take them up on it. If not, say no thank you.
Yep. And they do the hair braiding too, if that's something you're looking for. I know some, if you've got kids, the kids want to do the braiding and get the beads and, make it look like you've been to the Caribbean. A lot of the ladies will do that as well. On top of the massages, most of the ones that are doing the massages also do the hair braiding. So that's something fun and neat if you'd want to do that as well.
So great day, Mahahual. If you're in Costa Maya, this is how you get there. It's the port of Costa Maya. That $4 taxi ride just outside the port, $4 back. When we got ready to leave, that's always a concern of mine. When you take a taxi somewhere, how do we get back? Some of the places they'll do a round trip where the same person comes back and picks you up. They don't do that in Mahahual. However, we were assured that there would be plenty of taxis on the way home. We always allow at least an hour before all aboard time when we're out on our own. That gives you the chance to, if there's something that goes wrong, here's the deal. We knew with an hour before all aboard that if we just had to walk, we could have walked it. But luckily, when we left our tour, we took one step out. There was a big line of taxis. We got in the first one that we saw. They're yellow, clearly marked taxis.
Yes.
Got in, $4 per person on the way back. I will say this, some of the taxi drivers do speak pretty limited English. I spoke Spanish with the driver. If you don't speak Spanish, it's okay. Here's the thing most people don't understand in these places. A hotel or the name of a town is just the name of the town. It's the same in English as it is in Spanish. We said we're going back to the cruise ship. He knew where we were going. I didn't have to do that. Now, I'm trying to work on my Spanish, so I spoke some Spanish with the guy. But they understand enough English to get you to where you need to go, and you might speak enough Spanish to ask them how much it is. But just keep in mind, if you get in a taxi and you say Mahahual, it's the same in English as it is in Spanish. You just take off. So, but we get $4, 10-minute ride. We were back with about 30, 40 minutes to spare before all aboard. We spent a full day in port and had no problems getting there or getting back. So don't worry about either one of those things. But our advice, if you're out on your own, we always recommend allow yourself about 1 hour to 1.5 hours, depending on how far you are away, to get back, just in case there's any issues with your ride or you hit traffic or anything like that. So you're not pushing it to get back on the ship, because if you're out on your own, that's the positive to ship excursions, is that they will get you back. They guarantee you getting back. You're out on your own, you're out on your own.
Yeah.
Should you ever run into trouble doing that, there's a number on the back of your either sail and sign card or your CPAS card, depending on what cruise line you're on. Call that and tell them you're having a problem. The ship will actually wait a little bit on you within reason if you will communicate to the ship. That's always your fail-safe. If you see you're going to be late, call and tell them you're going to be late. It's the number on the back of your sail and sign card or your CPAS card. But again, leave an hour early, give yourself plenty of time, and get on back, and you're still going to have more time than with a short excursion. We've done that multiple times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's become, one of my favorite things, because you get a little bit longer time than what the shore excursion gets. And something else I've noticed, that we've gotten to try more food at these places that we go to, because the ship excursions don't always include the local food. And that's always one of my favorite things to try as well.
For it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's the last thing I want to address, because I know this was even brought up to us multiple times when we were going on this cruise. There is some fear about traveling to Mexico. That is a rampant fear, and you've seen it on the news. You've seen, there was the kidnapping there on the other side of the border. There's some fear about Cozumel, Costa Maya, some of these areas, due to some of the issues that have happened with the cartel and some of the violence that's been there. I will say this: you always need to keep your head on a swivel and be intelligent when you're traveling abroad. You don't necessarily know the dynamics that are going on at a place you're at a given time. You always need to do your research. I don't want this to ever come off like just don't worry about it, because you should think about those things. The thing you should know is, one, a lot of that violence that is taking place is a long way away from really Costa Maya, but some of these areas that you think about, Cozumel, even Cancun. And I know there's been some violence around the Cancun area, but you have to understand something. Anytime there is a violent act in a tourist area, anytime there's a problem with a cruise ship or an airplane or at Disney World, the media picks up on that.
Absolutely.
Every single time they run it. There could be one shooting in Cancun all year, and they're going to run it. And they're going to talk about how dangerous it is. Now, there are issues in Mexico. That's well proven. But a lot of times the people that are very, very concerned about these issues don't take into account that there are a lot of issues right where we live.
Yeah.
Right where you live. I had one time in Aruba, I asked the guy at the hotel, is it safe for us to walk outside at night? His response was, it's safer than where you're from. That hit me really hard because you and I will go to Memphis, walk around downtown Memphis, not think a lot about it.
Yep.
Think we'll all agree that's probably not the safest city in the world. With that in mind, why should I be overly scared about taking a taxi and exploring a town in Mexico? I'm cognizant and aware of my surroundings, but I never felt unsafe. I never have felt unsafe. And I have felt significantly unsafe in certain places in some U.S. cities. Just because they don't speak the same language we do.
Yeah.
Just because they don't have the same passport or the same driver's license or they look a little different does not mean that they're any more dangerous than the people right here at home that look and sound like us.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to be very careful of noticing that you will not hesitate to run around an American city, but that all of a sudden we're scared to go walk down the street in Mahahual, Mexico. Be aware, be alert, but don't be scared. Just be aware and alert and do your research.
Yeah.
There are places I will tell you don't go outside the port in them. Mahahual is not a place I would do that. Costa Maya is not a place that I would do that. It's in their best interest for you to be safe due to their dependence upon tourism. So I just wanted to get that kind of out in the open.
Yeah, no, I think that's important because I know you and I talk about these places we go to in Mexico. Tourism is so important to their livelihood that, you know, they're going to do whatever it takes to protect it. And that's why they are so friendly. They're so welcoming because they want you there and they want you to continue to come back too. You know, they want you to come the first time, but they then come the second and third time as well.
Yeah, post it on TripAdvisor. They want you to say good things. That's the last thing our guy said. Hey, go on TripAdvisor and review us well.
Yeah.
It's in their best interest to make sure your stuff doesn't get stolen, you don't get hurt, and you get to and from safely and efficiently. That's how they get their business.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and they want us to tell you guys, hey, go to this place in Mahahual because it's really cool. You're going to have great food. The service is awesome because, again, that's how they feed their families. So do your research, but go experience the culture because you're not really traveling unless you experience the culture, in my opinion. So
Very good point. Very good point. That was our day in Mahahual. How about the Icon of the Seas? We finally got the chance to see Icon of the Seas sailing, like out away from the shipyard. That is Royal Caribbean's newest ship. It will be the world's largest cruise ship when she sets sails in January of 2024. And she set sail. She is currently on her sea trials. And man, I'm going to tell you, I knew it was going to be a different ship, but until I saw it, a full picture of it sailing, it has a different look, and it looked like something out of it's like the future.
Yeah, especially with that aquadome on the front of it. It's going to be such a cool venue on that ship. It just looks different, but golly, it's beautiful. And it's gonna be a totally changed, awesome experience to the cruise industry, and I can't wait to see them, you know, start hosting cruises and getting those passengers on there because there's gonna be a lot of cool things to do on Icon of the Seas.
Here's some more information on Icon of the Seas. Take a look.
Guests can expect that we've heard them.
It's actually been the longest design period we've ever undertaken.
What our guests are looking for is to be as connected as they can to the ocean.
If you see and understand what Icon truly is, we tick every single box as it relates to the ultimate family vacation.
Again, Icon of the Seas launches in January of 2024, and you can book a trip on this beautiful ship through CruiseNReview.
Hey.
In fact, we've got a special offer. The first person that books Icon of the Seas with CruiseNReview, we will actually give you our portion of the commission back. Now, how does that work? So when we book a cruise for you, the cruise line actually gives us a commission for doing that. You don't pay us anything. You don't pay any more on your cruise. It's not like that is an upcharge. If you don't book through a travel agent, the cruise line just keeps that money. If you book through us, then we actually get a commission back from that. So what we'll do for the first person that books Icon of the Seas, because we want somebody to go experience this wonderful ship.
Yes.
We will give you our portion of the commission back. Depending on the price you're sailing, could be $200 to $250, just depends on the price and that you book it at. But we will give the first person that books Icon of the Seas through us our commission back. That is still open and valid. We're still running. Somebody booked this thing because that is actually, it's like cash in your pocket. We'll just give you back, and nobody else is offering that right now. If you want to get started on your booking on Icon of the Seas that sets sail in January of 2024, you just go to CruiseNReview.com. That's cruise, the letter N, review.com, and go to the book travel section. Fill out the form as best you can. Put it in the notes that you want to book Icon of the Seas. We'll get it back. And if you book it, we will give you our portion, basically our payment. So we're doing this for you for free. We'll help you book your excursions. We'll help you get there. We'll help you do all of this stuff. We will give you that back just for booking Icon of the Seas and having a vacation.
Yeah, you can't. It's like, I mean, that's a coupon for a cruise. You can't beat that, man.
It is a coupon, and nobody else is doing that right now. So I guarantee the cruise line's not going to give it back to you if you go through them. So please do that. Again, set sail January 2024. Bookings wide open through 2025 if you want to book Icon of the Seas. On our next episode, which will be June 29th, we are staying in Mexico. We are going to Cozumel. We had a beautiful day in Cozumel. We have been to Cozumel a ton. We feel like we're the Cozumel experts. Yeah. But we went to a great all-inclusive resort. We will take you there to this beautiful resort. It's Paradise Beach in Cozumel, and tell you about several other things you can do. So we're going to do a full review of Cozumel next week on June 29th.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. That was my 30th birthday.
Yes.
So we had a great time. We got, like Blake said, an all-inclusive resort. We, fun time was had by all. Even Norse Frog had a good time.
Yes.
Because the staff there was great. There was all kinds of food and drink again. And so I'm excited to relive the birthday. That'll be fun.
It'd be nice. Maybe there's some pictures to help us remember it.
Oh, yeah.
So be sure to subscribe to it. Hit the subscribe button before you go away. Go to CruiseNReview.com for all sorts of news information. We've got different articles and write-ups and news about the cruise and travel industry on our website. You can also book travel there. You can also go to the podcast section, CruiseNReview.com/podcast. There's also all kinds of audio streaming. You don't get the video portion, but you can listen to it in your car, anywhere you get your podcast. All those options are there, or just go to wherever you get your podcast. Search Cruise, the letter N, Review, Cruise in Review, to listen to it on all streaming platforms. And we will be back next Thursday, June 29th, with a look around one of the most popular ports in the Caribbean, Cozumel, Mexico.
Yes, it's going to be a good time. And Norse Frog wants to say hello to all of his followers.
Yes, we are the only podcast that's out there that has an executive producer, a non-human, Build-A-Bear executive producer. Norris Frog is our executive producer.
Yes. And he has traveled quite a lot of places for such a little guy at such a young age.
He's like a flat Stanley.
He is like a flat Stanley. But hey, make sure to follow him on Instagram and on Twitter. That's at Norris Frog. You can kind of follow along and see what he likes to do when we go travel. It's a good time. So make sure you check him out. And that's at Norris Frog on the social medias as well.
Yep. So that's it. That's what we've got for now. We'll be back June 29th talking about Cozumel. I'm Blake.
And I'm Audrey.
Bye-bye for now.